Greetings and welcome to Aerosoft Beaver Test Flight. Speaking of Aerosoft, they happen to be one of the add-ons I purchased for my 26th birthday, so we're going to go ahead and take this on a test flight. Yes, we're going to take an add-on I purchased out of my 26th birthday money on a test flight. Now, of course, don't worry about the Tomcat. I'll get back into swing as soon as I can. Now, my goal got interrupted, and for good reason, because something tells me that I should fly other aircraft/airplanes to show you that I like other aircraft/airplanes as well as helicopters. And of course, blimps, hot air balloons, etc. So in this flight, let's test out the Aerosoft Dehavilland Beaver. Now I'm flying the United States Army version in this video because here's why. The Civil Air Patrol in New Mexico does not operate a Dehavilland Beaver. And of course, I'm really not in the mood to mess up a Civil Air Patrol aircraft/airplane because of a mistake I made, and especially because I have TAC Pack, as well as either way the crash settings are turned on, and it's almost like running your fingers on a pimple that's ready to pop. That's how I think of the landing. So here we are, we're in a United States Army variant of the Dehavilland Beaver. Now in reality/real life, this is not flown anymore, but in my fictional world at Coronado Airport, I'm going to pretend that this airplane's just a showbird and showbird only. Now the loading's going to be long, so I'm going to go ahead and give you a briefing while it's loading. Okay, here we are at the load screen, if any of you could tell here. Usually it hangs at 6% when I first start the simulator, and you might ask why you're going this route. It's because every time I exit the simulator tends to go to the bottom right of the screen on my computer. But I decided to give this a go anyway, because who likes test flights? I made this video for you. Okay, here's our briefing. We'll be taking off from 4 Alpha Charlie, which happens to be Coronado Airport in Duke City. We'll be flying where as I please, but for right now, I have chosen to fly in wherever the direction the nose of my Beaver is pointed. And we'll go to my neighborhood. And we'll see what's east of my neighborhood, which happens to be Glenwood Hills in Duke City. Now I'm not going to show you the exact house I live in because I need personal space, like any other human. And of course, if I happen to be invading your privacy flying this flight, please let me know, because I didn't know you lived there. And I will edit it later, and or remake the videos. The reason I say remake is because, to be honest with you, I'm actually still a noob. However, I have a feeling that with my noobiness, I could provide entertainment for you. Because don't get me wrong, I love noobs as well. I in fact like it if you make sucky videos to begin with, especially playing Flight Simulator, as well as, of course, attempting to live stream and make uploads, because that tells me you're trying. It's like, think of Miss Swan when she tried to audition for Spice Girls. You know who Miss Swan is from Mad TV, right? That's what I think of this as, or whatever Miss Swan even tries to do. Think of my live streaming like that. And I'll pick up the pieces sometime later, and, of course, not to mention real soon, and make better videos. So while we're loading, this is what's going to happen. We're going to go to the East Mountain area, as well as behind the Sandias, and not to mention, we will go to wherever my heart pleases in Duke City. Now what we're doing in this flight is we're rehearsing for an air show, which I'm going to make up sometime later on. But why not show me some of correction, why not show you some of the rehearsal I've been doing? And that's what we're going to do in this episode, is fly around places in Duke City as well as my neighborhood, including the East Mountain area. Now in the debriefing, I'll go ahead and paraphrase some of the things I've said before, and not to mention restate. Or I might do some of that throughout the video, because I'm very dummy friendly. And you should be dummy friendly. The reason being is because dummies watch my videos. At least many of which. And there's people like Miss Swan from Mad TV who watch my videos. While we're loading, we're going to fly. But we need to wait for this to reach a full 100, and then we'll go flying. Now you might ask, what have you gotten yourself into, and why you're showing a black screen? Well, it's because the simulator was acting up, and I had to go accordingly to this. So here we go. In this video, we're going to be flying a Dehavilland Beaver, a wheel version. Not a float plane version like the one I've flown with Airedale, because, hey, I always wanted to fly a wheel version of the Dehavilland Beaver. Now, standard wheels we're flying. Because there's also tundra wheels, and also wheels with skis. And of course, there might be skis as well. But in this case, we're just going to fly the Dehavilland Beaver with standard landing gear wheels, and of course, fly around Duke City. We're not necessarily cruising though, because this plane is rather slow. And it's a general aviation plane. The Dehavilland Beaver, that is. I might even expose you to a little bit of bush flying while we're at it. I don't have an exact plan just yet, but it looks like we're going to wing this flight. Now, this flight is not top secret, not classified. Just an orientation flight around Albuquerque, New Mexico, Duke City, including surrounding areas in the East Mountains. Now, why do you choose the area, you might ask? Well, it's because, for one thing, I like Duke City, and especially the East Mountain part, because just over the mountain ridge is the Level 1 Trauma Center, which happens to be University of New Mexico Hospital, because it's rather mellow in that hospital. And if something happens to me, I have Level 1 trauma care just over the mountains. Now, Level 1 trauma is definitely something you're going to want, because this airplane is very dangerous. And if something happens with this airplane, I would need Level 1 trauma care right away, depending how bad it is. At least a crash, anyway. Okay, so what's going to happen here is, usually when I go to Coronado Airport, my nose is pointed to the north, so when we're there, I'm going to do my usual ritual, like zoom out, check out different views, select a view I like, then eventually lower the flaps, increase the throttle, and take off. Now, why are you flying from a closed airport, you might ask me? Well, it's because for those who live in Duke City, who remembers Roller King and or Roller Skate City? And who knows if the practice rink is still there? That's what I think of Coronado Airport as. It's like the practice rink. Or maybe it is the practice rink at Roller Skate City before you go into the big rink. But don't get me wrong, I love Roller Skate City and would love to roller skate there once again. Because why, my cousins actually love that place. And I'd like to spend time with those cousins there. Not to mention, have a ball there. Now, I can't have a good ball there. I can't have a lot of fun there unless I go in the practice rink a few times. And then go there. For Roller Skate City, that is. while we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and tell you some funny things about Roller Skate City, and especially while we're using Coronado Airport as the practice rink, like the one at Roller Skate City, which you'd probably know as Roller King. I will admit this, at Roller Skate City, I love falling, as long as I don't fall straight back and hit my head. Which I do, of course, do over there, and guess what? Whenever I do that, especially on regular roller skates and not blades, falling down is a piece of cake. And especially because I know how to fall correctly and break a fall correctly. You know? Really, it is. Falling down is a piece of cake. And if I crash at Coronado Airport, guess what? It's a simulator and piece of cake. There's a nearby fire station, as well as businesses nearby. Not to mention the Balloon Fiesta Park is right next door, just across I-25, headed west. But be careful what you do, though, and how you get there. Don't drive exactly right through I-25, either to get to the crash and or Duke City's Balloon Fiesta Park. Okay, anyway, I have nothing to say about Roller Skate City for now, but let's tell you this. You know, I'll be flying over Duke City's Balloon Fiesta Park as well to look like someone, you know, who cares about Duke City, and especially the Balloon Fiesta, because the Balloon Fiesta actually means good amounts of money for Duke City. Now with the pandemic going on and in times of quandaries, you know, it's hard to tell whether we're going to have Balloon Fiesta this year or not. Maybe we'll have a revised one, and if there's a revised Balloon Fiesta, I'm going to go ahead and scout the grounds. You know, maybe? I'm thinking I might do that first, actually. You know, scout Balloon Fiesta Park, and then go to my neighborhood, playing this game, on what we can do for a revised version. But in a time like this, we don't know. I don't really have a flight schedule right now. I have not filled out an official flight plan to fly this video, so the only thing I have in mind right now is just to take off and fly around Duke City. And of course, I have no intentions of going to Santa Fe. Because if for some reason I get stuck in Santa Fe, you know, I'm going to come home with an empty wallet. Now, playing this game here, flying the Aerosoft Beaver, if I have to land at some other airport, more than likely I'm going to go ahead and go to Edgewood. And yes, Edgewood, they should be respectful, especially to an aircraft that's in military paint colors. Or in some type of military paint scheme. Because I think a lot of people in Edgewood are very respectful towards the military. And they probably think we're there to enforce some type of policy. Usually they should be nice. But it's a simulator, so it's going to happen from here. Now those mountains are going to be pretty difficult to fly over. Especially in just a little Dehavilland DHC-2 Beaver. And hey, wait a minute, I did that back in the autumn of 2014. Maybe spring, late spring, sometime in the summer time frame, or maybe even, yeah, like in the autumn of 2014, I flew a freeware add-on of a Dehavilland Beaver, which happens to be a wheel plane, and I'd flown over the mountains just east of where I live. It didn't go too well. I had to slew. I have a new idea. I don't have a plan, but I have an idea. Looks like I'll never have a plan. What we'll do here is, well, number 1, check Balloon Fiesta Park. Number 2, fly in the direction of the Waboos trailhead. Or never mind, there's a mountain in the way. Actually, we'll go a little ways up north towards I-25, towards the town of Bernalillo. And then from there, make a right, make our way to the East Mountains. And then from there, fly accordingly. Because if I try to fly from Coronado Airport in this little Beaver, going straight east to where Edgewood is, wherever, that could mean a death sentence for all of us on board. While this is loading, I'll come up with things to say. Just please be patient with me. At least I got up and tried to go fly. That's why you're seeing a black screen. And of course, when this video is over, remember rule number 1 for when this video is over. Don't watch from the beginning. That's rule number 1. Don't watch from the beginning when this video is over. Rule number 2 when this video is over. And so on. Just remember rule number 1. Just please do that. Okay, while I'm flying, alright, I'm going to point things out. Now, on one more thing, I'm going to go ahead and break down the things I've said, like I normally do. From here on out, most of my live streams are going to have this before I end the show. One more thing. And you should have one more thing. You know why? Dr. Steve Harvey had one. Remember now. You know, Steve Harvey, he used to be called Dr. Harvey. Because that's his education level. So once again, at the end of this video, I'm going to have one more thing the way Dr. Harvey has it. You probably had known him as Steve Harvey, but I'll call him Dr. Harvey, because that's very proper. And you might have known Dr. Harvey from Family Feud, or just the Steve Harvey Show, which should be called the Dr. Harvey Show, because that's Steve Harvey's education level. He has a doctoral degree. Well, now, we have quite a ways to go before we have one more thing. I'm going to go ahead and restate this. Rule number 1 from when this video is over, don't watch from the beginning. Rule number 2, remember rule number 1. And the rules that go from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, etc. Just remember rule number 1. Unless, of course, you like boring stuff and like test flights and want to sit through this. I'll be darned. Maybe 6% wasn't so long after all. After turning on the computer and running a few flights.
Development. Startup and warm-up. Prime engine with hand primer 3 to 5 strokes. Check and call propeller clear. Status switch to start and hold. When propeller done 2 revolutions, set ignition switch to both. When engine starts up, release starter switch. When all pressure reads 50, set propeller full increase RPM. Warm up at about 1000 RPM. After oil temperature reaches 40 degrees. Increase to 1200, 1600 RPM for smooth operation. Check engine instruments. Check suction gauge, operating within 3.75 and 4.25. Push manifold drain and hold 3 seconds. Set heading indicator. Call for taxi instructions. Set altimeter pressure as given by ground control. Fuel selector, center tank. Release parking brake, test toe brakes. During taxi, check turn indicator, heading indicator, attitude indicator, magnetic compound. Start up and warm up complete.
where I went to school. Where my cursor is, right there in that patch of grass, that's where I went for elementary. Never mind. Let me adjust this a little more. Good grief. I just had to show you. Okay, right here where my cursor is, that's S.Y. Jackson Elementary School. Right now where my cursor is, that's Eisenhower Middle School. And right here where my cursor is, that's El Dorado High School. And those schools, you know, here's where I went. S.Y. Jackson was number 1, Eisenhower was number 2, El Dorado was number 3. Where I went from middle of August to the middle of May. In some cases, late August through late May of whatever the school years may have been. Like in the case of S.Y. Jackson, I was here from the middle of August 1999 through middle of May 2000, which will be 20 years ago from the time being I made this video. And then from here, actually, I think either today and or tomorrow will mark 12 years since I graduated Eisenhower, which is my cursor here. In El Dorado High School right here, you know, it would mark 7 years since I walked the line. Well, at least I think, anyway. And 7 years since I walked the line for graduation. So I've come a long way, you know. Like, this is my first school. This is my second school. And this is my third school. As terrible as school is, guess what? Those schools there, they are A+ rated schools. At least from the time being I went. Anyway. Let's not get in this debate and let's just go back to Duke City's Coronado Airport anyway. Oh my. There's Albuquerque Academy right here. I went here for summer programs. Not to mention I went to other schools as well. For summer school like Hubert Humphrey Elementary School, but we're not going to have time to find that today in this episode. Or is that it? That may not be it, but I think that's the Desert Ridge Middle School, which happens to be right next door to where I meet for Civil Air Patrol, at least for now. But I'm not meeting there in person because of the coronavirus government order. I think I can show it to you from here. Oops. summarization of what I've done on this flight. Okay, first off, what we did was, I had to, of course, deal with Flight Simulator when it was acting up, but I worked through it. I dealt with it. Second off, I gave you a briefing of some kind and told stories while the game was loading. Thirdly, we tinkered with views. We went from cockpit to the right seat, etc. Then from there, we took off with flaps extended, but before we did, I had to make sure that the ailerons, rudders, as well as the elevators were able to move. And from there, we flew. And we went to Duke City's Balloon Fiesta Park for a few times. And then we went to Placitas area, and then we went to the East Mountain area. Then after the East Mountain area, we went to the schools I went to. And then from there, oh my word, I didn't think I even slewed at all during this flight. I did not press Y for Yankee, and of course that's a plus. But you'll see that in other videos, where I press Y for Yankee, use my joystick, etc. You'll see that. Or maybe I did in this video. I'm not sure. But then from there, see I'm in the middle of a live stream. Hello, can't you see I'm in the middle of a live stream? What's going on? Okay, screenshot. Yeah, just middle and, okay, home button and top button at the same time. Yes, but you have to do it simultaneously. Alright. My mom calls me in the middle of a live stream, but that's okay. I love her. I trust her. That's okay. I love her. So I had to help her. Well, anyway. Okay, we went to the East Mountains, and we went to the schools I went to, and I did not slew at all at this flight. And this was an excellent flight. An excellent landing. TACPAC didn't catch me, and the flight is over for the day. And, of course, at the end of the flight, you might have heard me say something about a train and a caboose and what this had to do with this flight. I mean, first off, I wanted to get out of the flight, and of course the caboose would mean the last car, but in this case I'm not thinking of the caboose as the last car on the train. I'm thinking of it as a boxcar, which happens to be a hangar. So, some trains, in case you didn't know, have cabooses in the middle and or in random spots of the train, so the caboose is not the last car of the train. So the caboose meant in this case, that building I pointed out with my cursor. But instead, because I did not really know where I was, I chose to move this airplane and go to just a random boxcar, which was a hangar. Then, from there, open the plane, get out, and give someone else a turn to go fly. And when this video becomes a regular video, here's a rule to remember. Don't watch the load screen unless you like boring stuff. Or if you want to watch the loading screen to help build some character in you, that's more than okay. Alright, thanks. That's our show. We'll see you all around. Don't forget to like and subscribe and support my channel as well.